Good morning and welcome back. Today I got to get this thing really going. I got to make tracks and get this thing out of my shop. Got other work to do. So one of the last things that I need to take care of is clearancing the fenders for these 35-inch tires that are really too big for this truck with the lift kit that's on it. So I'm going to cut and hack on these things and kind of show you what my thoughts are on doing it. Never hacked 4x4 fenders before, so this is going to be a first for me. Should be pretty fun. Should be hopefully straightforward. We'll see. Let me show you what I'm talking about, then we'll get started. So this is the driver's side fender, and you can see I've already made a line here where, based on what they've done to the hacked on passenger fender, I'm going to go ahead and cut through here, cut it right along that lip seal, and boop, put the flange right back over and weld it back up. Some other damage down here I'm going to fix, just because I'm going to have the welder out, might as well. A couple of splits on this lip, particularly at the back. It's cracked in half where it's already been impacted by the tire before. Need to weld that up because on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. And that split is right where I need to start cutting to get this lip off of here. And I've already drawn kind of my plan there, and that should clearance that tire just fine. So let's see how this goes. Let's give it a shot. Never know what's going to happen. So let's get started. Now this fender's in pretty good shape. It really is 100% salvageable. I mean, this could be all fixed up and used in a restoration. It's got a little bit of just surface rust back here, so that's much better than the passenger side original fender. This one obviously came out of a junkyard. There's a junkyard paint marker in pink right there. But I've got two fenders that are even better than this one and that one. So those are on reserve for someday down the road if this truck goes in for a restoration. And you'll notice a lot of the work I'm doing kind of preps towards that, with getting everything painted while I'm going along. Doing some of the other mundane stuff. But first thing I'm going to do right now is go ahead and grind off the paint where I need to weld these pieces back prior to cutting them, so that I don't have a floppy piece of metal there that I got to try and use a magnet to hold into place. So let's get started. Alright, that little bit's done. This one's not going to hurt to go ahead and cut this. So first I'm going to cut it along my desired finish line and see how that ends up looking. Then I'll trim it along this inner bend right here, just inside of that, and weld that over. Obviously this will be shorter because that's a longer line. So let's give it a shot. Okay, now you can see how it's going to lay in there. Obviously it's not the same radius or anything, so I'm just going to cut it through here and try to make it work. This will have to bend up a little bit to catch that. That's okay. We'll figure it out as we go. So I cut along the inside of the flange here and the fender lip, and it's got a little bit of a curve starting through here, right? That's fine. If you can see when this touches right here, then I got a huge gap there. I want to bring that together, right? Bend on it a little bit and kind of get a new line here of about where I want this thing to go. So kind of through there, like that, to where I'll have a nice, smooth, kind of radius looking thing that might look like somebody meant to do it. So let's get that cut off of there now. Now this should lay over real nice. Yep, okay, I'm gonna have to bend up on this just a tiny bit. That's looking good. Now let's zap some welds on there. Just tack it in place, see how we're looking. Might trim that a tiny bit more before I start welding. I'd like to have a little more off of there, but there's another method to do that. So I can sneak up on it. Let's try that. Sneak a little taste of coffee there. Now this flat disc, 36 grit, will eat this sheet metal alive. So real gentle. It takes that edge away rapidly. All right, I think that's going to do it. We're going to go ahead and weld it. Alright, that's tacked on there very poorly, but it's in place. And now a little cleanup. We'll weld it from the inside, grind it down from the outside. And I'll round this off with the grinder, fill this at the end, and we should be good to go here. So I'll let you guys take a break. I'm gonna let this cool down actually. I'll go over there, start welding that stuff up, and just keep on pressing on. different game plan over here now. Instead of cutting the line that I intend to end up with first, I'm going to cut this flange first because I like how that, helped me guide where I needed to cut over here by simply just laying it up on top of there and then making a new mark. So I'm going to try that over here. My wheel's getting a little small, so I don't know if I'll be able to get into this very good, but let's give it a shot. Let's start it right about there. See if I can get this side. Let's try this again. It's hanging up like that, it's indicative that I don't have a straight cut. But that's all right, we'll straighten it out with a welder. Wow, a lot of factory fold there, so the metal's built up. Let's see if my little plan's gonna work. And I might end up just straightening this whole piece out some. Leave me a little bit of lip. Not gonna work quite as nice as the other way. Looks like we're gonna run out right about here. Yep. It's just because of all the curves in it. But that's okay. We'll figure it out. That's why I want to leave this metal in case I need to fold some up to meet this piece. Let's see what we can do. Alright, so I got a plan here. Let's go ahead and bend this around a little bit. Make the mark where I want it. Somewhere right where my original mark was. Now what I'm going to do, bend that out so you can see, is I've got some crude marks here where it starts to radius. This is too high for it. Obviously it was way out here, so as I bring it in, it becomes shorter, right? So I'm gonna leave a little extra there and just go boop, bend it up. If I have to cut a little couple slices in it, again, since it's radius, you can't just bend it up. You'll wanna bend this other piece flat. So you need a shrinker or a stretcher, which I do have, but I'm not gonna use it on this because it'll mess up this other metal. So I'm just gonna cut a couple reliefs in it, boop, flap it up, tack it to this, and then we'll go from there. Little sneaky trick that I just did is I just started a grind line where I want this to bend up to make a relief. That way I don't get a bunch of wonky out of shape bends. As I bend these up, they start to overlap, so I can trim all this off. Now this piece is relatively flat, so it should bend up okay without another relief. There we go. And it kind of flares at the end. It's not a 90-degree angle. It kind of flares down to nothing. And this is going to come back to haunt me when I have to trim the inner fender to match this. So let's see what we got here. Heck of a lot closer. Put that behind it. Yeah, got a pretty good gap right there. So I think we're actually looking pretty good. What I'm going to do is go check the other fender. I might just be able to whack this right off of there. That's why I've got the other fender hung up there, so I can use that as a gauge. Even though it's all bent up, I can use that as a gauge to kind of see where I need to be with this one. So I'll be right back. Yep, so check the other one. I can lose this end here. It's been a pretty nice guide to see where I need to be. Don't need this. It's hidden behind the inner fender. So all I want to do is try and radius this a little bit. So I'm just going to take this piece off right here. Let me get my eyeball shades here. Got a rough line to cut it. You know. And there we go. So, not terrible for what we got going on here. You hammer that a little bit less wonky. And I've already got this all ground down before I cut this time, a little bit smarter than the other time. And gonna just go ahead and tack it in place. Alrighty, here we go. Where to start? Let's start here. Hammer this baby in a little bit. Ooh, I like that. All right. A little bit of a gap down here. That's okay. Fill it with this. Cool. All right, well, the bad news is I'm starting to run out of welding gas, so I'm gonna get as much of this tacked up. I don't think I'm gonna fully weld it. Well, I'll try. I'll go as far as I can until the gas is gone and then proceed to the other fender. So before I can go to the other fender, we got to work on the inner fender. That's a whole different ball game. So let me get some more, finishing up here, and then I'll turn you back on and let you see the inner fender and how it's got to match this now. We'll see how that's going to work. I have no idea. I think I woke the ant nest up. Huh. All right, here's the inner fender, and well, let me attempt to bring you over here and see what we got going on. Sorry if you're getting dizzy, but you can see quite a bit of gap there now. Obviously, this was all mangled previously, where the tire, tore into it, and I did a little bit of hammer dolly work. And you got your witnesses here where this bolt hole and then this backing nut here got to be together. So what I'm going to do is set you up, and I'm going to get a couple bolts into this inner fender to hold it where it should be, and then start doing some figuring. Let's try that out. Let's see how to do this. Easiest. No such thing. Got a little mess going on, but that's all right. Hey, are you close? Right about there. Close enough. Maybe this one. Good. All right. I don't have to get crazy here. Those are too tight. Need to be able to shift the fender around and line up a couple of bolt holes. All right, forgot the fender's broken back here. Gotta do something there. And we're missing the backing nut there, so we'll go up to this one. The U-bolt clip thing, whatever we call it. Don't know. Get a couple more driven on. Now this isn't going to be exactly how the inner fender will lay out, but it's going to be real close. And this one's got to line up, and it does. That's perfect. Okay, first issue's up here. Wanting to hold off because of this. I can bend that. All right. Now, actually, that's going to be okay, because this will pull up to the radiator core support, I think. You can mess with that when it's on the truck. The bigger picture is back here. So what I was thinking, wow, that's got to move a lot. I'm hopeful that I could just boop that whole piece out. I got to keep that aligned. Let me get one more bolt. Look. This one, I think it's 1/4 20. Yeah, maybe. Yep. Let me get this held in where it needs to be. Right about, yeah. Ooh, you didn't like that, did you? You don't want to tighten down. Something wrong. Everything all right, fellers? There it goes. Dang. All right. I don't know if you can see this or not. So what I'm thinking, I got to keep that hole right there. So if I cut this and that, I might just be able to hammer all this backwards. Maybe a couple relief cuts. Oopsies. Here's a little wedge I'm going to cut out. Yeah, it's definitely not going to be an inch worth, but let's get started on it somehow, you know. Where's all my stuff? Alright, it's all buried under all this junk. Get some gloves. And most importantly, eye protection. Missing. There it is. stable. Wow, that air compressor is loud. Okay, I'm gonna have to edit this out. Anyway, so where were we before the air compressor interrupted? So obviously this is still very rigid. It's got an S shape to it, right? So I'm gonna definitely have to do more than just a little bend with my hands. Now I gotta figure that out. Gotta figure out where to relieve it, either like, you know, parallel to the edge or this way. If I go this way and flap it out, they're gonna spread apart and I'll have gaps that I don't want. If I go this way, it'll be easier to bend this part out, but then I gotta reattach it somehow. So I don't know, let me think on it for a minute. Maybe something will come to me. Well, so I bolted it back up, got my little slice of pie out. Let's see what a little bit of hammer will do. Maybe a dolly on the back side. A little off dolly work. Woohoo! Looky there. Now, one thing that's interesting is it's definitely going back for me, but the flange isn't overlapping real good. I wonder, I probably bent this portion of the fender out when I was pushing on it to tack weld it. Don't know, I'm gonna have to cut those tack welds and relieve it, but because this is in place and the other bolt over there is in place and this bolt lines up for the most part. But it's like the flange is nowhere close. This flange here to the actual inner fender, but it's better than it was. Oh, see, it keeps going on the back side of it there. Yeah, I don't like that. Wonder how that's going like that. It must have been, it had to have been when I was welding. Maybe I pushed down on that too much. I don't know, but I still got ants coming out everywhere. That's nice. I think we're good here. Time to bust out the welder. So, got this little tiny wedge of metal put in there. Got it all lined up, and I'm just gonna do some tacking, then put it on the truck and see how it's gonna fit up once it's actually hanging in the proper place and not laying on the floor. So let's get a tackle weld on here to hold that little piece in position and see how it goes. Just a little tack, hold it in place. Crazy little finger of metal, just try and fill that gap once I finally got all this flushed up. So a couple little tacks, and I'm just gonna leave it like it is. Hammer on it once it gets on the truck. That'll do it. right. Now let's hang it in place. I've thrown the fender back up on here and wrestled around a little bit, trying to get everything in position. It's got, you know, some bolts in it, making sure all the bolts line up. Looks pretty good down here. I think I'm going to be able to make this work, so I can go ahead and tighten up all those welds. This fender never fit great to begin with right here at the door, so I'm going to do a little work on that, try and press it in. It's got plenty of dents and random holes in it from trim that's deleted years ago. Not going to worry too much about any of that, but this part looks good. I'm definitely going to clear this tire. So that's cool. Now all I got to do is pop it back off and finish welding it. Get some primer and paint on the inside where I've welded, and then put it back on again. And then wash, rinse, repeat on the other side. Let's do it. Well, that's the welding portion of it. Now a whole bunch of grinding. Get it ready to go back on the truck. So I'm going to spend the rest of the afternoon grinding on that, perfecting it, and probably be back with you again tomorrow morning and start working on the other one after I get this hung back on there. So stay tuned. All right, we're back. And it's Saturday afternoon now. Lost all of today. It's now 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Had to put together an entertainment center for the living room, and you know, it has a million little pieces and parts and cam locks and dowels and glue and a Chinese Allen wrench that's about 2 inches long that hurts the bones in the tips of your fingers because you're too lazy to go back out to your shop and get a real Allen wrench. Done with that mess. Now, working back on this mess again. Have not gotten anywhere. Signed off yesterday, couldn't resist, did a little bit of grinding and everything. Let me show you what's going on there. Grab this thing up and let's see. All right, so here is the front of the fender, and you can see I ground it down. Little bit of pitting in there, a little bit of, you know, body filler. I'll take care of that. Looks decent. So you can kind of see a little bit of the sharp angle. It's maybe accentuated because it's not all tan, but so consider that to what the previous knucklehead did, which is just take a Sawzall to it, and it's cracked there, cut all this flange off, and then just right on through it. And man, it is got some teeth on it. Yeah, so I'll clean that up, but I don't know how much more I can do with it. They cut it so far forward, ridiculously far forward. But I don't know if I'm going to worry about that. Get this fender off, and I'm going to mess with this. This is how it looks now after hammer and dolly work for about 5 or 10 minutes, because this was all smashed back in, all right, from the tire hitting it. So this is just kind of hung on here a little bit. Go try and do the same, you know, strip out of here, and I only take it so far back because a bolt's got to go through right there. But we'll get that sorted out today. I don't know how much further I'll get with getting all this done. Again, finished out the welding here, ground it all down. Looks pretty decent, you know. It's kind of hard to tell that, you know, I've added some angle there. Maybe a sharper eye will see it. Then I got a little bit more welding to do here on the inner fender I forgot about yesterday. This is cracked. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. Weld that up. And this one back here has just got a big gaping wound in it, and right in the center. So I need to get that welded back up. It's also cracked through there. And finish welding this little piece that I, stabbed in there. It all fit pretty decent, but you know, we'll know for sure when I go to really lining it up and bolting it all down. I kind of halfway did that yesterday. So the only thing left to do is probably get started. I'm probably going to run out of welding gas. And it's like 40 minutes away to get more gas. Painful. All right, well, time to go. Editor's note. I'm using a little microphone. And I've spent about 45 minutes trying to get it to work. Big kit. Got lots of microphones and, you know, receivers and transmitters and a special plug that goes into the camera that was way overpriced. But anyhow, got all of that together, plugged it all up, you know, the microphone thing. I like it, high quality stuff, and didn't record any audio. Spent some time making some video, and then I finally just started making quick snips to see if it would even catch my voice, but just nothing. Reread the instructions for the for the microphone, and it turns out there's two different cords in there. One's for a phone and one's for a camera. I was using the one for the phone, and I have a camera. Thought they were just, you know, the same thing. No, not even close. So read the directions. I never read directions. I'm terrible at that. So maybe you are too. Save yourself the pain sometimes on this high technology. Read the directions. Didn't do a good job of getting the paint off of here, did I? Nope, just burned it off. Now let's find a little cheap piece of metal laying around that's maybe got no paint on it. Well, dang, they all got paint on them. How about, this piece is, nope. Find something a little better, maybe. Stand by. I'm going to have to do a little filler here. That's what you call terrible. The technique I'm using here is called making a disaster of it. Yes! All right. Nothing that a little grinding won't fix. Okay, all you welders look away, but I've got this filled in and, you know, cleaned up. It's not beautiful, but it's gonna last because there's a lot thicker steel there than this stamped metal. Got this piece repaired and got this piece repaired, and they're very, very strong now. They're thicker than the surrounding metal, but I did grind it down, you know, to where it lays flat when the bolt goes in. Now, you can see I'm peeling off paint here, and I got a lot of heat in this, and it's bare metal. So the next step is to actually shoot some primer on here and make sure all this stuff, I can see I missed a couple places there when I painted the top, and of course I've been knocking it around. The top could use a little bit of primer again because, yeah, whatever. And I need to also get primer on the front and back side of this. On the back side, where it's all boogery welded, I am not going to grind any of that. What I'm going to do on the back side of both this portion and this portion here is, well, there's one little piece got to grind down under there. I'm just going to put like seam sealer over it. The reason I'm going to do that, welding is obviously porous, but any mud, water, debris that goes down through here, I don't want it to stick to any of these gobs of weld that I have on the back side of this thing. What I want it to do is just like roll right off. So in seam sealer, I get a nice smooth bead of that right there, jammed in that corner. Won't hurt anything. It'll be a lot better for as far as not causing future rust issues there. Even though this is kind of a junk fender, oh well, you know, it's just the way I go. So anyhow, I'm gonna do all that off camera, and I'll catch back up with you when that's done and drying, and then I can pull the other fender off. Okay, well, it's Sunday now. Didn't get everything done I wanted to this weekend. That's the way it goes sometimes, you know. So messing around this morning, fiddling with some little odds and ends. Gonna hang these two fenders back on here, in and out, or get them lined up and hopefully pin them for good for now. And just yutzing around with some of this stuff. Went ahead and swapped on this. You can see it's missing quite a bit of the lower edge there. It's really heavy, must be original. The newer style are much lighter than this. And this plastic is definitely ancient. Pretty crusty inside of here on the post for sure. So swapped on this with a new one out of the attic, and put a new coil wire on as well, because the other one was really crusty. So I don't think the engine's gonna run any better. I still haven't even pulled the spark plugs in this thing to look at them. So maybe I'll do that today too, I don't know. But hopefully next weekend, get the passenger side fender done and get that hung back on. Get this fusible link taken care of, maybe even put the radiator back in. I don't know if I want to get crazy like that. It might even put juice in it. Try and get the hood back on and get this thing out of here for a while. Got something else that I'm going to be pulling in here to work on. And, you know, see how it goes. It never goes like I planned. So hope you enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you next weekend. Thanks for watching.